Okay. Moss Man. Did you see the Falcons' new uniforms?
I did. You don't like them?
Huh?
You like them?
You know what? I'm gonna let them. I don't want to like. I'm gonna wait and see. I saw a couple little versions of things, but it was funny how all of that went down, and then all of a sudden they had to drop them. You know. Yeah. So it was straight.
I thought they were smooth. I like the combos and and all black. That's it, really though. The black and the red mixture, I wasn't really messing with.
Yeah, I like the. I'm a rock with the all black. I'm a rock with the all white. I don't. Yeah. People feel some kind of way about the ATL font, but for me, I'm like, okay, let me let it grow on it. I get it. I understand the significance of it, so that's fresh. The throwback uniform is straight fire to me. You know.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I am right now. So I love it. But my man, you had a tremendous. I don't know if a lot of people know. I mean, obviously Utah fans may know, but you know, when I came out there to come watch film with you and then go through some drills and stuff, I legit was coming out there just to see if you were better than me. I'm not even gonna front. I'm like, yo, man, this dude, like, you know, he's like the Hulk, man. Yeah. I was like, man, he's about to take down all the records, no doubt. Yeah. But I mean, it was great. To me, it was about, you know, seeing a special talent and somebody that it really mattered to, you know. Yeah. And I was like, if there's anything that I can do to help this guy out, to improve his game and to be the best player that he could be, I was like, man, anything I can do, you know, because I always want to see. I'm about supporting the Utes, period, point blank, and I always want to see the boys play well, and you know, I would love to see you doing what you were doing, you know.
Yeah, sure.
I was your 2019 season. I mean, 1,416 yards. 6 yards a carry, 15 TDs. I'm not even gonna front. I expected you to put up numbers. You know, I expected you to come in and put up rushing numbers. What really I like to see happen again in this past season was what you did in the passing game. You know, because people were like, "Oh, can he catch out the backfield? Can he be a factor out the backfield?" And I mean, 30 catches with the amount of times that you were running the ball, to me, was impressive. And not just in those catches, what you were doing with the ball when you got it. You know, when they were throwing you swing routes, like you had the great run. Oh my God, who was that against? Was that that was at home? Was that Cal? No.
The long one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Cal. Yeah.
Yeah, that was Cal.
Where's Cal? Yeah.
Look at my little memory. But I mean, I just like to see you do those things, because I think there was a question for some people. Oh, can he be an every down back? And to me, that was a done deal. But for you to go out and to show people and improve it yourself, I know that meant something to you.
Yeah, you know, Dolphins definitely gave me, you know, a bit of a good opportunity to go out there and catch some passes, you know, and just, you know, be able to create after that. And, you know, I tried to do that, you know, with as many times as I could when I was touching the ball. You know, that's what it's all about, just about making the most of every opportunity you get.
Yeah. So you, right now, like, what is it like? I mean, I can't imagine with everything that's going on right now. I mean, you guys were able to go to the combine, which we'll talk about, but how are you preparing now? Are you still able to go to your facility and train and get yourself ready for not just the draft, but obviously you have to prepare for the NFL season?
Yeah, so I'm still able to work out. I'm working out at this place called Athletic Gains, right here in Calabasas, not too far.
With E, right?
Huh?
With Terrell,
yeah. So I'm working out right there. I've been able to work out pretty much every single day since I came back from the combine, and all this stuff has been happening. So it's been, you know, still, you know, a blessing for me to be able to, you know, have somewhere I can still work out, because you literally can't go anywhere do anything because everything is literally just shut down. It's like you can't do nothing.
Right. I know it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and I was talking about. I tweeted out. I don't know what's happening with some of the guys who are in the NFL who may have been like on injured reserve, like with the facilities being closed down. You know.
Yeah.
I want to go back really quick. So when you came to Utah fans know, but you came with two of your other friends, so people who were not maybe follow Utah. You guys came together, the Hollandale trio. For all of the Utes fans, we already know. But for everybody else, explain what that decision was like, because you're from Miami, you're in that territory. Obviously, there were powerhouse program for many years, but you chose with your friends to come to Utah. What was that decision like, and why did you make that move?
So I was speaking on myself first. I was committed to Miami at first, and I was something that I wanted to, I ended up decommitting from there, and I wanted to, venture out and see new things. And Tyler and Damari, at the time were the two guys I went with. They were committed to Utah at the time, and I was like, all right, I didn't know much about it. I didn't even know where the state was, honestly. So I was like, all right, cool. I'll check it out. So, I came out on an official visit, and, they enrolled early. So, they were able to show me around, show me how things kind of went and things like that. It was all just new to me. And I was all just trying to soak it in. And, having Coach Dennis Erickson also out there who was recruiting us,
how big was that? How big was that? Because, I mean, Erickson really came through and he a bunch of guys,
Yeah. Coach Erickson's a legend, man. I mean, when the first time I met him, him coming down to Miami, I had my family. When I told him I was meeting Coach Erickson, he was coming and things like that. All my older cousins and uncles and things like that, they knew who he is. And the man is like a real deal, like big time legend. Like not everyone can come to Miami, and hold some type of weight, have a status down there. So it was just kind of just mind boggling. That was like one of my first time really having something big around football, kind of like close to me. You know what I mean? Like having an icon, and things like that. So having the chance to go up there and be coached by him, it was only for 1 year, because he ended up retiring my freshman year. But it was something I wanted to do. All of us came up there. They were trying to get me, Tyler, Damari, at UCF. It's kind of like all three of us. Yeah. But Utah was just, a big conference. They wanted us to come in early and play. Right. They were competing early, so that was a big thing for us. Coming from Miami, coming from South Florida, we always want to compete, and that's the biggest thing for us.
That's funny because when I chose to come to Utah, I was looking at. I wanted to go to SC. Having moved to LA when I was a kid, I grew up. That the Pac-12 was a big deal, and so I was like, I really wanted to go to USC. That was like my squad. I love Marcus Allen and all of the running backs that were there, and then there was a guy named Russell White who was a legend out here who went up to Cal, and so I was thinking about one of those schools. But I remember I had like this pact with some of my best friends about we're going to take a trip together. And so it was like I went to Hawaii, and it wasn't like I wasn't really thinking about going to Hawaii, but I wanted to go to Hawaii to hit the water. And I was like, all right, I'm going to take one beach trip, and I'm going to take one trip where we can go skiing. And it was like, I had like friends going to Utah, and I was like, all right, I'm going to check them out. And I remember McBride, they were recruiting me, but I wasn't really tripping, Yeah. And McBride came into the house, and I did not, Zach, I didn't start lifting weights really until I got to Utah.
Yeah.
Like straight up. I was like, if you would ask me what am I doing in the off season? I remember McBride came into my house, and my dad was like, ask him what his workouts are like. And well, what are you doing in the off season? I said, Coach, the ball ain't heavy.
Yeah.
And he was like, if you think you want to make it to the pros, man, you have to work out. And if you want to be, and I remember when I took the trip up to Utah, I was straight up like, I'm gonna go skiing, this, that, and the other. And I got up there, and I met with Rob Rainey was there, and I met with all the heads of the departments that I was even thinking about. And to me, at the time, I'm a nerd, And so I was like, they were so serious about me graduating in my education. I was like, it really opened my eyes. And then one by one, a lot of the guys that I was on that recruiting trip with, Connie Nevis, Curtis Marsh, Ernest Boyd, Adolph County, a bunch of us were there together, and they were committing one by one. And I was like, okay, something's happening here.
Pressure.
I remember my dad was like, okay, you can go to one of these big schools and you could be like all these other guys and you probably play well, or you can go to a school like Utah that really wants you to graduate and really cares about you, and you could change the program. And he's like, you good enough to do that? And I was like, okay.
Challenge.
And straight up. I want to talk to you about you obviously the combine. I remember watching. I'm watching you. I want to see what happens, and I knew right away when you were out there working out and stuff. And I was like, okay, something's going on. I knew right away because I had my expectations in my head of the way you were going to perform, and I thought something's off with you. So you got injured there. You tweaked something at the combine, correct?
Yeah. So I tweaked my hamstring just earlier, a little bit earlier in the day.
Right.
Just getting ready for the vertical jump and things like that. And, because they had us sitting around for just hours,
Right.
I think we went to the field around like 2, and then we didn't, start doing anything until really 6, 7 o'clock.
It's a process, right?
It's a process for sure.
Try to give people a little description of the combine, because I don't think they understand.
Yeah. So, all right. So this was the first year that they extended it. It was a bit longer this year. I think it was a week longer.
Right.
Not a week longer, but a couple of days longer this time go around. And, you have everything from, all these meetings with introductions of just meeting all the people who are there, get into groups that you're pretty much going to be in, the entire time you're there. And then, you have all these what they call informal meetings with all 32 teams. Pretty much you just go into a room and it's coaches galore. You have a coach everywhere you look. It's some type of personnel from every team, and they just grab you. You're just going from table to table to table to table to table, and it's just, I think it was 2 or 3 days straight just doing that. And then we had formal meetings, and that's the easiest part, honestly. Those are the easiest things. It's when you get to the medical part of things.
And the formal meetings is where you kind of get an idea of the teams that are really zeroing in on you as a potential draft pick. Right?
Yeah. So the formal meetings are the teams that really are, thinking about investing in you and things like that. I was able to meet with about 15 teams the entire time I was there. You get to meet the head coaches, the guys who are really making decisions, and the very important people, and that was really cool to me. I was able to meet a lot of coaches that you see these guys on TV, you see these guys like Pete Carroll, at SC do all these amazing things, and then his entire career.
Speaking of Pete Carroll, I tell you what, I would really love if you ended up there. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that would be a pretty cool situation for me. It would definitely cool. That's a team that I, always has been watching for a while.
Right.
But like I was saying, it was just mind-boggling. The people you get to meet, the new, just the learning that you continue to get every day that you were there. It's grueling, but it's something that you won't forget.
Right. And I think to show you a lot of people what it means to you. You tweaked your hamstring and you still went out there and ran.
Yeah, it was an opportunity for me to go out there and compete. And I've never been a guy that turns down competition. I had a shoulder injury that I played with for 10 weeks straight that a lot of people probably didn't know about, but I was, just battling through because, I love to, show up and be, accountable. So it was something that...
Go ahead.
Yeah, so it was just something that I wanted to, do my best and just put my best foot forward. I didn't want to make any excuses. After that, I was still doing all of the routes and everything like that they asked for me to do. So, I just wanted to go out there and compete and, just do my due diligence on that part.
That injury was that USC game? I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember you came. Remember, I was on the sideline that game.
Yeah, second quarter.
Right. And I remember I was like, man, when you see my face when you came over there, I was like, bro, you good?
Yeah, I remember that for sure.
Yeah,
that was just all bad.
Oh man, and you fought back from that. We don't even want to talk about that mess. But what I loved, that game. I was trying to. They had to keep me out the tunnel, man. I was gonna slip on the uniform. I would have threw 4 or 5 blocks for you, man. Straight up. I was sizing the dude up. I was like, man, I could put on his uniform and I could come out. I think Steve was sitting next to me from Utes Zone. He was standing next to me on the sidelines too, and I was like, give me a uniform. But what I loved, the combine happened and everybody's looking at your numbers. You know how this plays. What have you done? What is this? And then you came back in your personal workouts and it was outstanding. Yeah.
So, it wasn't time to panic and things like that. It was just all about, all right, we did that. It's whatever, a lot of this was second chances for you. So I was able to go back and just get healthy, and just continue to put my head down and work, not, be on the medias talking about this and making excuses for this and that.
Right.
Just letting, people do what they do best, talk.
Right.
And just go out there.
How'd you feel about the numbers that you ran? Because they were much improved from the combine.
Yeah, so that was something, I was used to running. I would have been running that all the way up leading into combine. And, that was what I was used to. So I wasn't really shocked. I was just like, okay, well, this is what I already know.
You know what? It's crazy the parallels, not only our size and playing at Utah and everything else, but like I'd be like, I had similar combine numbers. My personal workout numbers were better, but I'm like, look at the tape. Like, if you look at the tape, I'm like, people aren't really running me down, even at my size, And I'm like, you watch the tape of you and you get an open field and you get those opportunities and you're going, And so I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm like, the tape doesn't lie, Yeah.
I've always been right there with you, man. Honestly, just a football player is a football player. It's not about a guy who's going to be out in there in some shorts and a t-shirt.
Exactly.
All those guys look like otherworldly. So it's all about, you got to put on those pads and you got to go out there, and bang for 4 quarters.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Although you are built like now. You shape. But your attitude. Like, if you had to choose a go-to play, like what would be your favorite running play?
Probably the inside zone play. Honestly, that's like, because I've been playing this position now for 5 years,
right?
And going into my sophomore year, we were installing the inside zone play. And that was when I was, that was the year that I was, really just learning all the terminology, learning what everyone in front of me is supposed to do. And, that was the year I was like, okay, we can't play off of talent. Talent's not going to get us there. We had tried that my freshman year, not knowing much about the position. And, so that was something, that play was just something that we had ran so much. And it was one of my just favorite plays, just consistently running it. And, it gave you the opportunity to literally do and make anything that you wanted to happen out of that type of play.
Take us through your process on that. I'm glad you said that because it literally is one of my questions. Shout out to Steve. But what's your process on the inside zone? Like, what are you keying? Like, what's your pre-snap read? And what are your keys? Like, take the people through that. Like, what are you seeing sitting back there when the inside zone is called?
So, if we got a 43 box, so meaning 4 down linemen, 3 backers,
3 linemen, right?
So let's say I'm running, I would call it 26. So, I'm going to the right.
Right.
My read is the first D tackle to the insertion side. So the first guy to the play side, that's the first D down lineman that I'm reading to the second down lineman on the back side of that A gap. And then after that, it's just about understanding what your offensive lineman is supposed to do, who their reads are, how they're supposed to combo block this and lead up to those backers. And, it's just all about, at that point, the inside zone play is about it's as important as about them, making their blocks, but at the same time, it's about you delivering the blocks.
Right. So yeah, and I think there's little nuances that happen with the position that people don't understand. Not just look at all the reads you have to go through. What they see on TV is some guy coming and you going down the line, but all those things have to happen. But there are situations where you've certainly been in, and I myself have been in, where it's like, even if they don't necessarily block, if you make the right reads and how you hitting the hole, and if you're hitting it the right way, you can, even if a guy doesn't win on the line of scrimmage, you can still win getting through and getting the yards because of your keys and how you're reading things. And that's a feeling too. I used to go ahead. No, I used to love to cut back, but I'd have to remind myself, like, it's getting good, but don't forget, it's a front side play, Yeah. Tell yourself that?
Yeah, all the time. Honestly, right. You get into, the defensive lineman just playing over aggressive and you just hitting that cutback, you hitting the cutback. And right. Sometimes, you get on the film the next day, you come in there, you watch it, and then your coach like, with the little mark, just got the thing right there, just looking at you like, man, I should have kept it going front door. But, that happens a lot, man. It's like, it's a hit and miss type of thing. It's all about instincts.
I used to tell myself, I'm sitting up here like, I'm telling myself, I'm lined up back there, I'm like, stay front side, stay front side, stay front side. So up into the cadence, because I know, especially with the way we were running it with the time, we were running power, 36 Nero tray. We're pulling the backside guards. It's like the whole city's coming on these running plays. And I loved it, but there's no secret. You know where we're going. Here comes everybody, and guess who's going to have the ball? So once if the defense starts over pursuing, and then you obviously, like you said, defensive tackles jumping around. I'm like, okay, it gets good to go backside until it doesn't get good. So I would have to remind myself. It's like the little steps you have to go through. Like, when you know your number's called in a huddle, you have a series of things you have to consider in order for that play to be successful, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of things that as soon as you hear that play call, you're like, all right, this is the footwork. You remind yourself of the footwork, little things that you do every single day. But in a game, it's just so much magnified. It's, keeping your pocket, making sure you got the right arm up, no weird stuff. Just making sure you're reading your keys and everything is just, you got to literally just go through it as,
I think we went through footwork stuff when I came out there, right?
Yeah, we did footwork.
About going slow, right?
Yeah.
Like, especially with your quickness and explosiveness, I'm like, you move better than me. So, and I'm taking that lead step out. But all of those things were like a process. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was definitely something that you got to continue to rep, man. It was.
Sure. What about playing with a quarterback like Tyler? What kind of advantage was that?
It was a big advantage, man. Honestly, me and him have played together since our senior year in high school.
Right.
And I've been I've been able to play with a guy who's mobile, for a while. And he was easily the most mobile guy I've played with. Just the way he runs, his intellect of the game. And, just playing with him over those years, me and him were able to just, really get on the same thinking path when it came to playing together. We were always in sync. It was, I can remember, like the cow play, when I broke out for that long run on the swing, on the swing pass. That wasn't even a design play.
I honestly thought it was like a second down.
It was literally a broken play. So, I can't remember exactly what happened. I think he fumbled the snap or something, but he got out of the pocket, and I was supposed to have just a regular check down right over the ball. But as soon as I seen him scramble, and I felt myself uncovered, I already know him so well and the way he plays and what he likes to do, his tendencies and things like that. I already knew. I'm like, okay, if he even thinks about looking back, he's going to throw me the ball. And literally, as you watch the play, I felt him about to look back, so I pulled up my glove in the midst of the play.
Right.
And then he threw the ball, and then, I was able to go for whatever it was, 60-some yards down the field. But just playing with him, over the years, watching him grow as a guy, just being a pure quarterback, not just relying on his legs and being, the athlete that he is. It's been really, really cool. Definitely gonna be miss playing with him, but he was definitely one of the better guys to play with for sure.
Yeah, and I think what was your relationship like with your line?
It was good. Those guys I was able to play with a lot of guys over the years at that down there at O Block is what we call them, and Coach Harding, the offensive line coach over there,
right,
has done a good job of just always having guys ready to go, having interchangeable parts, guys that can play every position, just being able to plug them here, plug them there. Our offensive line was always, up and ready for the task. It was really good playing with those guys.
What was a good indicator for me, not obviously being close to the program and watching on TV and being on the sideline for certain games, was their enthusiasm when you were going. Like it was like they gave extra till you get off, and if they hold their block one more second, man, Zack's gonna be gone. And it was like a different energy for those guys when you were running through people.
Yeah, just being in the huddle. We would go into a game. I remember my first game back, BYU after the knee injury. Going into the very hostile environment, going down there to play them on, I think it was a Thursday or Friday night game. Right. It was the atmosphere was just crazy. I think that was we were 8 wins straight on them, and it was the first possession, and we got into the huddle, and I was broken my hand in fall camp,
right?
So I hadn't really been practicing with the guys going into the weeks. Getting ready for that game. And I remember going out there having, a surgically repaired knee, being the first game, having a lot of questions about that. And then having a broken hand on my carrying hand, just being, another thing I got to think about, and, just making sure that I'm trying to, mentally push myself through. And, the guys were just in the huddle telling me, we got you, bro. We got you. And then just continuously just running hard. They just that gets them hyped up.
You never lost to BYU, man. You don't know that. You don't know. I remember that's one thing that happens when you come to Utah. You really quickly you understand the significance of that rival. You know what I mean?
But yeah, you do for sure. I remember coming in, it's kind of like, being from Miami and then having the Miami versus FSU, type of rivalry game.
Right.
But here in Utah, it's all about BYU versus Utah. And it literally divides the state. You know what I mean? Like people really get, very, very upset. Every way they feel about this game. And, my first time experiencing it was my first time playing BYU, which was the first time I ever got into a college game. That was my first time playing in a college game. Was when we played them at home in 2016. And, it was just crazy just seeing, the atmosphere. And then my sophomore year going down there, I was like, okay, this is different. Because at home, it's a home game. It's like, okay, whatever, it's cool.
Right.
Then you go down there and I'm like, oh, this is different.
Yeah. Yes, you played them your first game down there. You had, by the way, with all of that stuff going on and with you coming off the injury with your hand, you had a monster game to start the season. And the way, how physical you were and running through multiple things. I want to get to where that comes from, but I played them my last game of my senior season, and we played down there too. We hadn't beaten BYU down there. I think it was like 20-something years Utah hadn't won in BYU, okay?
Yeah.
It was a long time. It was kind of like a foregone conclusion that we were going to catch an L. And I remember, man, it was so – our team was – we had some dudes who were off. Like, we were ready to squab when we saw those guys out we saw them out at the movies. We were ready to, squab. It was like – It was like West Side Story, But we went down there and beat them, and we tore down the goalpost, Zach.
Oh, snap.
Bro, we were Wi-Fi lit down in BYU. She jacked my ankle up in that game, and I remember I was coming. Bill Bean He was like, "Wow, we got to take you in." And this is my last game of the year. And I remember coming in the tunnel like the second quarter. I had started off on fire. And I saw my dad. My dad came down to the tunnel. He had came there, and my mom and dad were there. It was the last game of the year, and I saw my dad, and I'm thinking like, this can't be the way I go out. Like I had tears in my eyes, man.
Yeah.
And I was like, do whatever you need to do. It's like, we got to take your tape off or whatever. I was like, I don't care what you guys need to do, but I'm getting back in this game. And we went in there and won. And I hobbled to like 150 yards. I ran all over the cooler. But how you run the ball? I mean, how you run the ball, and how many people bounce off of you? And it's, I've heard it before, and I'm not big on the comparison thing, but I had to tell you, there's a lot of Marshawn Lynch in your game, obviously. You didn't really see me play.
Yeah.
Probably better than Marshawn, but but no, I'm saying like there's a lot of Marshawn in your game. Like have you had this mentality the whole time you were playing football?
Honestly, man, I think it's something that has continuously just grew on me. And just taking a lot more pride in that. Growing up, my first position I played was linebacker. That was, what I was playing all the way up until, my junior year in high school, until I was, I finally made the switch to play running back full time my senior year. And, I remember literally my senior year, I was always watching Marshawn Lynch highlights, just watching how he ran. Those the two guys that I watched the most, it would literally be, I was watching YouTube highlights literally right before the game of these guys. It would be Lynch and Arian Foster, just finding two guys like that. A guy that Arian Foster who's able to do it all, and they would do it all in one cut.
Right.
And then having a guy like Marshawn Lynch who fit me as in my body type, and the way he ran and, his tenacity and the way he approached the game. It was just, those two guys was something that I watched and modeled my game after so much, that now when I hear, the comparisons and things like that, it's, it's still like, I'm not Marshawn Lynch in no way possible. That guy is a different animal. But I'm not surprised because, I did take a lot of things and, try to implement them to my games and, make them my own and, put my own type of, thing on it.
Hey, Arian Foster was outstanding too. And a free agent, okay? And so, like, I was a seventh-round pick. Marshawn, although he was a first-round pick, it didn't necessarily work out at Buffalo. And then you obviously saw what he did in Seattle. But, man, the guy, his last stint, man, to come out, to miss the whole season and come out, he did. I was like, it's not a lot of people who could just walk off the street after several months and just show up, and play the way that he's played. So do you look at this running back class, the guys that are there, you got Jonathan Taylor and obviously DeAndre Swift and Dobbins, Edwards-Helaire, and I think Cam Akers. You guys toss it up. Everybody's kind of different polls and different opinions.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself amongst these other guys?
I think, I'm definitely the best at what I do. I think I bring, something totally different from those guys, and they all bring something totally different in their own respects. I think I'm just the best at what I do, what I bring to the game, the way I approach it on and off the field. I feel like it's just different. The reason I play, and, everything that goes into that, but, those guys are just really, talented in themselves. I was able to, be at the combine, meet these guys, just see how they interact, talk to them. Taylor is, very good dude. I was able to talk to him for a while.
Right.
We were able to just, get together and things like that. But honestly, man, like you said, it's literally up there. I mean, every guy does something different. You don't have a guy in this draft that is, literally the same. Or like, okay, these two guys do the same thing. Right. This guy does something, it's, Helaire is a great combo back same as Swift. Very good pass catchers and things like that. So you just never know, man. And we're a couple weeks away from it and things like that. So we just see where everything falls.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I would. Obviously, it's just really just want an opportunity, and to get the higher the better. But I have some teams in my head where I'm like, man, Arizona's about to have a squad.
They are.
Arizona would be a lovely landing spot. I don't even want you to just let me say this because you don't want to be. Whoever drafts you is drafting you, and you want to take that opportunity. That's your job. That's it. There's a couple places where I'm like, oh, if he ended up in Arizona, if he ended up in Seattle, there's a couple of spaces. There's a couple spaces in teams that I'm be interested to see where Cam goes. He probably would love to play with that guy. You have no idea, right? You have no idea what's going to happen right now.
Literally, you have no idea. You talk to all these teams. You're trying to let them get to know you the best you can, and things like that. But literally on that day, it's literally just up in the air. Like you can talk to a team 500 times and they don't have to pick you, and you can talk to a team 0 times and they'll be the team ending up picking you, and you've never talked to this team not one time in the entire process.
The Falcons.
Yeah.
I didn't talk. I talked to their scout or whatever, but I was like Atlanta. Like when they drafted me, I was like, what? Yeah. It was a trip. I had heard from other teams on draft day, but and then all of a sudden they were like Atlanta Falcons, and I was lost. I knew 2 players from the Falcons. I think obviously prime time, but Andre Rison and Jesse. But I had never heard from them. So you're right.
Yeah.
It's an interesting process, man. And people ask me all the time, like, hey, so how long did you talk to the Falcons? I'm like, I didn't. Like they drafted me, and I was on my way to the South, and I was like, okay. So it was a whole different ball of wax. But you feel ready. You good?
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting time for sure, man. Even with all this stuff going on.
It's fluid right now because of what's happening with the draft. All right, so I'm before I let you go, because I don't want to keep you. Tell me what your favorite memory is of playing for Utah.
It would be this two. I got 2.
Okay.
One is kind of leading to what we were able to do going into the junior year and the senior year. Because the junior year was cut short, so it was pretty much a continuation. So the first one is 2017, the bowl game we played in, the Zack bowl game, something like that, down in Dallas, Texas.
Right.
That was our sophomore. That was my sophomore year. I think we won 7 games that year. So it was a very, it was a bad year. It was a down year for us. Coming off of the 2016 year where we had won 9 games, and then having a fresh new face of pretty much the whole entire 2016 class. Our sophomore year, we played West Virginia. We beat them, and then it was the post game interviews and things like that. And I remember being up there on the podium. It was me, Tyler, Julian Blackman, and someone else. I think it was Darren Paulo, one of our offensive linemen. And they asked us, they just asked us a question about, what is the next step for this team, going into next year and things like that. And we feel like we had a very talented team that year. We just had a lot of pieces that we had to put together with all these first time starters and things like that. And I remember just saying, I feel like this team is very talented. Once we continue to just mature on and off the field, I felt like we were going to do special things. And, coming off that year, barely making a bowl game, having to beat Colorado that sophomore year to get to a bowl game. And then going to the next year of just, from the off season to just everyone just bonding, doing things together that summer and things like that. And then going to the junior year where we, badly. I get an injury, and then Tyler goes down as well. 9 weeks into the season, and we still make the Pac-12 championship game, but we lose to Washington, in a very, very just terrible way. It was just an annoying game to sit there and watch. It was annoying to sit there and just watch that when all the hard work you put in and things like that to be there. So, the continuation of it was just, me coming back, and then, not just myself, but all the other guys that decided to come back, Lecky, Julian, all these guys that decided to come back. And it was the biggest thing, where we were able to, get out to a 4-0 start. And then we lose to SC. And then we just go straight through.
Right.
9 straight wins right to the Pac-12 championship game. And it was like that. When you're going through it, you don't really understand what you're doing at the time. Right. You're just like, all right, your whole entire mindset is like, we got to continue to win because we don't want SC, who was second, to get that win over us and have that tiebreaker like they did back in 2016. And we were like, okay, just keep stacking on wins. Just keep stacking on wins. Going on to practice every day, just grinding films, grinding just every single day. And now when you look back on it, you're like, man, we rattled off, I think it was 8 or 9, can't remember, 8 or 9 straight wins. And not just like, close victories. It was blowouts.
No, y'all was like Tyson on him, man.
like it was like blowouts. And now I'm looking back at it and I'm like, man, we were like literally one of the best Utah teams ever. And then, finishing with 11 wins, coming up short in that Oregon game. It's like, man, we did a lot of good things that year. And, that alone right there can't ever be diminished by no one. We can always come back, that 2016 class, we can always come back and, always hang our hats on what we did as seniors and coming back to, Utah that year and just changing the program over and over and over. And just, that was the biggest thing. And that was, besides anything I've ever done, besides all the records and things like that, it's about what we did as a team, those 9 straight wins. And, now just looking back on it and just really seeing how legendary that was.
Yeah, I think the impact of, like you said, like your recruiting class is going to be. There's no doubt in my mind. You can make your arguments for you guys being one of the greatest Utah teams ever. Okay, yeah. Even with the things that happened in the end, I think and then where you left the program, you guys left the program off in such. Man, we out of here. You know what I mean? So it's like this dream we've had, like such a big part of why I came there, or like trying to bring Chris Mafala, or how important it was for me to recruit other guys, because I think it's a special place with special fans.
Yeah.
And what you guys have left for the program, I think you left it off much better than when you got there. And I think that's of critical importance and one of the best things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What about the records, Moss? What about the records? You mentioned the records because I know you want to tell me you're the greatest of all time. Greatest of all time. In my prime, I would have loved to. It would have been fun. We would have see who. But I would have competed. It would have been fun. I would have loved to go. I'd like to roll it back and you show up when I was there. Yeah. Or actually, you play now because of the game, But just the way you played. What did it mean to you to have the records and to be recognized really as the greatest Utah running back of all time?
Man, it's still like, I remember people asking me over and over every week going into new games and just having to deal with media and things like that, asking me those questions. And I'm like, I'll think about it. It'll hit me, when the season is over. And honestly, it still really hasn't, settled on me and just dawned on me, that pretty much that my name is forever etched into record books, into a university that stood for years before myself, my parents, anyone was born. I remember, my freshman year coming in, I remember just Googling who was had this many yards. 32-19 was Eddie George. I'm like, okay, I need to beat this. I need these touchdowns. I need this. I need this. And at the same time, understanding that the way I'm going to get that is the team having success. If the team's having success, then there's no way possible that, okay, why can't I have just the same success? Because if I'm doing the right things, I mean the team is doing the right things. So, that was the biggest thing. But, having, breaking pretty much almost every record, I couldn't have wrote that. All I was thinking about, the biggest thing for me was, okay, walking out of there being the all-time rushing record, not any of the other ones that came along with it, and that was just, having faith, coming back my senior year, coming off a knee injury and things like that, and then just doing those type of things was just, better than I could have ever dreamed it, scripted, and it was just something special, man. And it was definitely a blast to just be there, do it. It's especially to have that type of recognition from, people around the school and things like that, and players and things like that. So it's been awesome, but I really, like I said, it still hasn't really hit me that my kids one day will be able to grow up, Google my name and these things and go back to the university and hear stories and all this type of stuff.
Yeah, you're right though. When you're in the midst of a legendary season, I remember when we were on our run to the Super Bowl. You don't, and it's like, oh, you've had X amount of 100-yard games in a row, and you're like, no, you don't want to hear that. You're like, next, please, next. It's never a thing. But man, this has been fun. I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with you. I think, obviously, I'm a big fan, but I think the way you play translates so well to the game, and I continue to make people make business decisions about whether or not they want to jump in front of you. And I feel obviously taking care of your body and where you end up. But I think the future is tremendously bright for you, and it's scary to say that you probably going to be better, but hopefully that's the case. It's like people ask me all the time about my career, and I say, well, the one thing I could tell you is I was a pretty good high school football player, but I was better in JUCO, I was better at Utah, and I was the best in the pros. And so like I can look back at those tapes and go, man, and I felt really good about how I played at Utah and when they let me take over the offense, but I continued to get better. My best was in the pros. You know what I mean? And I feel like for the type of player you are and the way you run and your attitude about the game, I think the best is yet to come.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you.
Man, for sure. We have to do this again, man. After, we'll see what happens when with the draft and everything. I'll leave it up live for people to check out, though. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, man.
All right, brother. I'll hit you up, and then we'll try to we'll see what happens with the Rona. If the Rona can.
All right, that sounds good. You already know I'm at, my man.
All right, brother.
All right, boss. Take care.
Go Utes.
Yes, sir.